basically what it says is here's somebody that left Johnson & Johnson to go to Kimberly-Clark to become the chief growth officer. Now, if you remember, the longtime CMO resigned at Johnson & Johnson, and they changed to a CGO. But this person left and went to Kimberly-Clark. So what is their take on this CGO? Okay, their take is, and they have the same basic job description as a CGO. So the author says it sounds like a remit of CMO. And interestingly, the person at Kimberly-Clark says it's a symbolic position that makes it clear to people what the CMO role is. So what we've done is relabel it, and it means, not only does it mean nothing, but it might actually be negative. It says the CEO wants to say, hey, we're about growth. That's what, it's all about what the investors think. And we're all about growth, and we want you to know that we're all about growth, which is great. Growth is great. But now, with marketing not in the name is in the C-suite, it's like, aren't we all about growth? So it becomes a non-word. It's the person we look to when nothing else seems to work and we don't know what to do. So it's almost as if marketers are admitting defeat and confirming the suspicions of shareholders, analysts, even colleagues in finance and other departments that marketing doesn't have any real impact on business performance, which of course can be true. Depends on the marketing, right? Right? Just like finance can have not much impact. It depends on the finance. Do it well. The nice part about marketing is if you tell your story well, you have leverage in the marketplace. And so a big component of your company's everything. If you can't tell the story about what's good about your manufacturing, what's good about your distribution, what's good about your positioning and why it serves the customer, if you can't tell that story, you got nothing. No matter how great it is. Think Betamax. Much better than VCR, but it didn't tell its story well. It didn't explain why it was better. And there's thousands of stories. It's the old story of build a better mousetrap and the world will beat a path to your door. No, it won't. You got to tell your story. And I need to do that too. I need more viewers. But now I'm getting capable of actually running this thing, almost running it every day, which today another glitch. I don't remember what. Okay, so it really does minimize the value of marketing. Now, that said, American women think that brands are completely out of touch with them. 61%, the majority of women, felt that their portrayal in advertising is completely out of touch, while 78% wished that more companies and brands would stand up for women. I'm not sure what that means, but here's an interesting one. 77% of young women feel they have what it takes to get what they want in the world, compared to only 56%. That's a huge, staggering change, right? That's a 50% increase in 5 years. Okay? So it's staggering. Now, the irony of it is, and maybe the brands need to think about this, the irony is these young women think they can stand up for themselves. Whereas in the survey, women want the brands to stand up for them. Paradoxical, I think. I can't tell you how to do this because I think most, outside of the food products and makeup products and purely women's products that say, hey, you want a better fit, you want a better, you want to lose weight, you want to do whatever you want to do. Outside of those kind of products, I think in general advertising, most women are right. They're portrayed very poorly. I think, and we were talking about stereotypes the other day, and I was thinking about Old Style. I used to drink Old Style because it was brewed in God's country. That's branding. I don't know if this is any better or worse, but I always liked that they said God in their commercials. And then they got bought out by, I think, some Australian brewery or South African brewery or something. And they put, young women in bikinis playing beach volleyball. And I never drank it again, and it's gone. So sometimes your advertising spend and your and your branding change and your portrayal of women can kill you, which I guess it did. I don't see it on the shelves anymore. Okay, this was an interesting article by Chuck McLeister in Target Marketing. He said he noticed his 4-year-old granddaughter said, I can tell where there's a McDonald's close by. There's a sign with a yellow M and a red background. And Chuck makes the case that direct response marketing using the umbrella of strong brand achieve better response and conversion rates. And I think that's really true. And, a lot of my creative career has been, get your name the same. If you're going to talk about how in B2B, for example, I have a client who serves large corporations in their branding. And I said, on any given page, I can find like 6 different versions, typeface, font, and upper and lower case. If you're going to be serious about your message, boil it down. Pick whichever way you want to be portrayed and then stick with it, for heaven's sakes. And I've done a lot of what I'll call branding, but more like positioning, in B2B, and it can make a huge difference. It can double the size of the company, and it can change the revenue per piece 20, 30, 40% just in a couple of drops. So I highly agree with Chuck. Now I want to get over to Ritson today. I just love Mark Ritson. And he's talking about the CEO at Kraft, but he's really talking again about the challenges that Kraft has. Kraft Heinz was bought and then devalued by $15 billion by Warren Buffett. In doing some of the back research, I found out that Warren Buffett is 88 and he goes to McDonald's for breakfast every day and he snacks on candies and ingests a snowstorm of salt every day. So he admitted that Heinz Kraft, Oscar Mayer, he has the food palate of a 6-year-old, and so he may like Heinz, but maybe the times have changed. Although Ritson says they need to be more creative, so I wanted to show you this latest ad, which I really liked.
This farm to table, blah, 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 posh and fancy, blah, 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 with a side of blah, blah, blah. The food looked good. I just thought there was something missing. So I reach into my bag and I take out the only thing that can complete me. And at that point, the whole world came to a stop.
Anyway, I think Ed's the perfect guy because he's sitting there in a flannel shirt in the posh restaurant. It's just beautiful, just a beautiful, and the hipsters are famous for that kind of thing, but the rest of us every now and then think that a posh restaurant. Scott Adams visited for the heck of it. He decided to visit the 5-star or the 4-star or whatever Michelin restaurants in his vicinity, and he said they all charged. Basically, it was $1,000 for 2 people, and he said he hated every one of them. So there's a lot of Heinz kind of ethos in America, and that I agree with. But they are struggling, and they need to be creative, and that's kind of the message of Mark. But also, and I think this is one of the main things, is nothing stunts a brand's future more than an amazingly successful past. Because people who grew up eating Heinz ketchup all of a sudden discover pico de gallo and salsa and picante sauce and all the rest of the stuff you can dump on food. There's a lot of variety in the world. Soy sauce, A1 sauce. I think that's owned by Heinz. Anyway, so on that note, you need to keep it in balance. You need to keep a balance between promotion and brand, and both are important. And Ritson does a great job. I learned so much from Ritson. You really want to consider taking his marketing course because he talks about the 40-60 split where some of your perspective needs to be on the long term, which is more the brand, and some of it needs to be on driving growth in the short term. But you got to keep them in balance, and you got to have both. Like and share. Share shows you care, and your friends will think you are really smart.